Okay, the amount of times I tried to put this video on hold and not post it was a lot, but knowing how good you guys are doing with the channel and supporting it, honestly, I gotta give you guys this story because this is actually kind of insane. But before I do, I quickly want to say thank you guys so much for 60,000 subscribers on this channel and the other channel with over 300,000. You guys have been actually killing it with these channels, and I love you guys to death for it. But we're gonna go straight into something insane, and that is, of course, as you guys read from the title, the story of my first time going on the hub. So at first, I just want to say, you guys have been making really funny words in the comments for, for example, the last story I posted about, seeing my first pair of cherries was, well, I guess we're naming it now Devil's Cherries. So this one, we're going to name it literally Devil Hub, which is like my own version of the hub. We're just going to call it Devil Hub, which I mean works. I mean, like, I don't know. You guys tell me if you guys like it in the comments, but let's get straight into this. So what is going on, you guys? My name is Bubba, and welcome back to another crazy story. So yeah, like I said, this story starts off with me back in actually elementary school. This is my grade 5 year. Honestly, bro, like being in grade 5, I guess, you learn a lot of things, and at the same time you don't. Like, I know back in grade 5 for me, like my main focus was playing Pokemon on my DS, and at the same time kind of just sitting at home playing on my PlayStation 2. I don't know how many people had PlayStation 2s back then, but I know I did. And even though I was a total gamer champ, like I'm not gonna lie, one of my main strengths back then to picking up the ladies was, well, my speed. If you guys don't know, being the fastest kid in elementary school was actually a popular thing to do. I don't know if it is still nowadays, but at the same time things change. Anyways, like I was saying though, so back in elementary school, grade 5 year, grade 5 was like a really special time for me. Now you guys are probably asking like why, like, is it because you're transitioning to middle school? No. You see, the reason my grade 5 year was so cool was because our grade 5 classes back in my elementary school gave us laptops. And back then I didn't own a laptop when I was in grade 5. I wasn't allowed to be honest. I was only allowed to have consoles. I didn't get my first PC until I was like, what, maybe like 15. So knowing I was gonna get a laptop, just a miniature, like, old Dell laptop that they were handing to us to use was awesome. Knowing I got to carry that everywhere with me for my whole grade 5 year was awesome. And we didn't have to give it back at all. Like, we could actually take these laptops home and do homework with them. And I remember me, 2 of my friends, and 1 kid in our class that was really, really sketchy were really, really happy about these laptops. Like, I'm not even joking. I think it got to a point where we ended up playing Club Penguin together in class while we were in math. And the reason was, by the way, for us having the laptops, I should probably mention, was because they wanted our typing skills to evolve over time, over the years. Which, thank God, if I didn't have that computer back then, I guess I wouldn't be typing 80 words per minute nowadays. Anyways, like I was saying though, so you guys are probably wondering, wait, so when does the Devil's Hub come into this story? Well, you see, it all starts off one day in my grade 5 class. So if you guys don't know, like I said earlier, we had a sketchy kid in our class, and this kid was the most, how do I put this? Rebellious kid in the class, I want to say. Rebellious, is that the proper word for it? Well, he was rebellious, and he was really, how would I word this again? Just a bad kid in general. Like, just think of like Horrid Henry from that old cartoon back then and picture him nowadays. That's basically it. And basically with these laptops, I remember he would always like, do some really sketchy things. Like, for example, he would search up really like gory things. Like, for example, someone getting shot, or just, just some crazy stuff that, let's just say, an average kid shouldn't look at. And I remember, I tried to like stay away from him, but knowing he sat right beside me in class was not easy. Because I think nowadays, having a screen right in front of you, you're just always tempted to look at it, even when you don't want to. But anyways, like I said, one day I remember while we were in class, this sketchy kid leans over towards me and says to me, and I'm not even joking, he says, yo, you want to see something cool, bro? Now, at first I thought it was going to be something like, I don't know, a person jumping off a plane or something without a parachute. But then he goes on the internet and searches up the Devil's Hub. And at first I was really confused because, when he searched it up, I just saw a bunch of naked things on the screen and I was freaking out. Like, I had no idea what was going on. But then he started clicking on this video, and like all I saw was literally, the Devil's Tango on the screen over and over again. And he was looking at me. He's like, yo, bro. I'm like, what? He's like, this is how life is made. And then after that, he's telling me like all these things, like how, his parents, divorced and stuff. And this kid gave me his life story about how he had 2 moms, which is, I guess, cool in a way. I don't know. I love my mom. But anyways, yeah, so apparently this kid, was freaking out and stuff about, having literally the Devil's Tango on his screen at school in our grade 5 classroom. And then I remember for some reason, this kid decides to like unplug his headphones from the computer. And I'm not even joking when I say this. Literally, everyone in the background heard moaning noises over and over from the video. Now, for some reason, some kids were laughing, but let's just say my teacher in that classroom stood up and walked over to the computer. And luckily, it was on his computer, so I really don't care. Like, it was on his computer. I knew I wasn't gonna get in trouble. But I guess apparently the teacher's like, Bubba, sketchy kid, why are you guys both looking at the Devil's Hub? In my mind, I was freaking out. I was like, why is he asking me why I was on it when it's not even on my computer? But But then this kid decides to just say, oh, it's for educational purposes. Literally, I have 2 moms, bro. Like, I wanted to see what was going on. And then from there on out, I was just literally just like confused as hell because I had no idea what was going on. Like, honestly, bro, like it just felt bad. But then after that, I got sent to the office with this kid because apparently I was a part of it since I was watching it with him, which is weird to say because, you know, us being 2 grade 5s watching the Devil's Hub on the screen. You know what? Actually, I don't really want to talk about it. That's just weird anyway. So we go down to the office and we sit down with our principal, and our principal is asking us questions like, you know, why'd you search this up? What's going on? You know, like, what are you doing? And I remember just sitting there in the principal's office, really confused on why I was sitting here. Like, I was not even a part of it. I should have been just upstairs watching Sky does Minecraft. Like, why am I in this situation? And then this kid beside me, the really sketchy kid, decides to pull something out of his butt and said, oh, like, I was teaching Baba, like, all the cool stuff my parents taught me when I was younger. So yeah, basically this kid with 2 moms that's, you know, totally sketchy decides to throw me under the bus saying I wanted him to search up the Devil's Hub. And, you know, me just sitting there freaking out. You know, my parents had to come down. We had to talk about, you know, cybersecurity and all this stuff, and, you know, being appropriate on the internet. And of course, my parents were upset with me because, you know, well, I was in grade 5. The only thing I should be really watching on the internet is Minecraft videos. But anyways, I had a big talking with my parents and I got put on history control. If you guys don't know what history control is, basically it's when, like, you know, every day when you go into class, you have to go through your, you know, your browse history with a teacher and make sure you didn't search up anything inappropriate, as if, you know, I didn't know already how to turn off my history control. But yeah, honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you. I guess, you know, it is what it is, and that's how, you know, I guess my first time finding out what the Devil's Hub was there. But anyways, guys, that's basically it for the video. Make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe, and like I always say, fall for more embarrassing stories. And after I finished beating my eggplant for the 100th time, I remember I ended up looking at my clock and I realized that I was beating my eggplant to the Devil's Hub for over 24 hours. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name is Bubba, and welcome to the most embarrassing and I gotta say terrible story I'm probably ever gonna tell on this channel. The reason I say it's terrible is because I feel like no one and absolutely no one should do this. Quick warning to everyone watching this video, no one should do what I am telling you guys in this story. It can lead to something really bad and is not a good addiction to watch the Devil's Hub. This story takes place back when I was in high school, and this was my grade 10 year, or at least the summer of. I was going from grade 10 to grade 11, and there was a Saturday night where I had absolutely nothing planned. I was bored playing video games, and I decided, hey, it's a Saturday night, why don't I invite a girl over to come hang out with me? So I remember going on my phone and messaging over 12 different women. Yes, literally 12 different girls. But all of them were apparently busy, had plans, or too tired to come over. So that's when I decided, hey, since I'm home alone and I have nothing else to do, why not just go to my bed and just do it myself? Yes, I'm talking about beating my eggplant. So I decided to basically lay down in bed, and this was like 6 in the morning. I was up till 6 a.m., which is kind of insane. But I laid down on my bed and I basically started, you know, beating my eggplant, but I didn't know to what. So I went to the one site that I think everyone knows about and goes to when they're in the mood, and that is the Devil's Hub. And if you guys don't know what that is, I am not going to tell you guys to watch it. In my opinion, no one should be watching it, and I'm just saying this right now. Please don't demonetize this video. I'm just saying this for educational purposes. Don't do what I do. But I laid down on my bed and I basically started beating my eggplant to the Devil's Hub. But every time I would watch a video, I realized that I would always get bored from like all the weird parts that they always put in the beginning. So I'd always skip to the good parts, or to the part where in the video they actually do the Devil's Tango. So I keep basically watching through these videos, and I realized that none of these videos are making me, I guess, do the Devil's Cream. So I'm just sitting there going back to back on different videos to the point where I looked at the time and realized it was actually 2 in the afternoon. Yeah, I spent basically more than 8 hours, 8 full hours beating my eggplant. I was super annoyed that I never got to finish, and it got to the point where I remember my mom ended up coming home from wherever she was the night before, and I heard her coming downstairs to my bedroom. That's when I instantly covered myself up with a blanket and pretended that I was just laying there still sleeping. My mom ended up coming into my room, and she looks at me and saying, Bubba, it's 2 in the afternoon and you're still in bed? What's wrong with you, my son? Are you sick? Huh? Oh, yeah, Mom. I'm not feeling so well. I think I'm just gonna keep laying down. I say that as I'm holding my eggplant, by the way, which is super disgusting and super cringe. But at the same time, I was in grade 10, okay? I didn't know any better, okay? Like, I'm just gonna let that be known right now. Anyways, going on with the story, I remember my mom ended up leaving my room, and I went back to doing what I was doing before, watching the Devil's Hub. Except this time, I ended up trying to go to like different categories on the website. I started basically trying to figure out what would be the best thing to watch that would actually make me happy. But one thing I realized is that growing up, I think think since I've done the Devil's Tango so many times, me actually beating my eggplant never actually helped. Like, even to this day, I don't really do that anymore. I feel like I've grown out of it. And even back then, I guess I kind of grew out of it. Not really. I don't know. Once again, I was bored and I had nothing planned for that night. So I remember I ended up basically getting back into beating my eggplant. And one thing I realized as well was that I was beating my eggplant for now, I want to say 10 hours. Things were getting really, really bad. And you guys are probably thinking, oh, Bubba, why don't you like just take a break, bro? Like, this is weird. Like, how are you telling us this right now? You gotta understand, I would. But there's one thing you guys need to know, and is that the Devil's Hub is a very addicting site. No joke, it is a major addiction that no one should get into. Fair warning to everyone watching this video. Don't do what I do. And don't go on those sites. They're not healthy. But anyways, hours went on and basically it became 6 o'clock. At that moment, I was, well, basically laying down on my bed, rotting in there, smelling disgusting, and just beating my eggplant. I felt like a full-on Discord mod at that point. And I remember I ended up hearing my mom's voice from upstairs saying, Bubba, dinner's ready. Do you want to come up for dinner? And at that moment, I decided to basically get up. But one thing I realized was that I was feeling sick. And also, I didn't want to go upstairs being bricked. So what did I do? I ended up laying down and told my mom to bring the food downstairs. And that's exactly what she did. Honestly, shout out to my mom for being such an amazing woman. And actually, you know what? I'm not going to shout her out because this video would be the weirdest way to shout her out. But going on with the story, I remember my mom ended up coming downstairs with dinner and she ended up putting the plate beside me as I was covered up in the blanket once again. And she looks at me once again and says, Bubba, can I check your temperature? Are you okay? Huh? Mom, I'm fine. I'm just relaxing, okay? Just leave me alone. Okay. Something seems off about you, Bubba. I don't know what it is, but hope you take care of yourself, all right? She goes back upstairs and she goes back to just doing whatever she does. Motherly stuff, I guess. And me, I get back to just beating my eggplant as I'm eating dinner. Yeah, literally, I am the best at multitasking. Okay, I'm gonna say that right now. But beating it and eating it is crazy. Whoa, wait. Not eating it. I mean, never mind. Going on. It got to the point where I ended up beating my meat for another like 4 hours. Okay, and at this point, it was 12 at night. Yeah, I know. Crazy. It ended up becoming 12 at night and I realized that it was dark outside. And another thing I started to notice as well was that I got rope burn on my eggplant. If you guys don't know what rope burn is, it's basically this really burning feeling and it really was bad. So I remember I ended up doing the one thing that I thought could maybe help me. Oh, you guys thought I stopped? No. I ended up getting lotion. I picked up my lotion and I said, you know what? It's time to end it once and for all. And right as I was about to do it again, I ended up getting a phone call. I got a phone call from this girl that I was seeing a while back in high school. She was actually one of my sneaky links. And she called me saying, hey, Bubba, do you want to like just come over? What? Right now? Yeah, I'm kind of in the mood. I never got out of my bed so fast, took the fastest shower ever, which actually really helped me out with my eggplant getting rope burn. And I went straight onto my bike, rode all the way to her place. And yeah, I ended up doing the Devil's Tango with her. Except it actually took me more than 4 hours just to finish. I guess it was from me beating my eggplant all day. But honestly, if there's one lesson I can tell you guys from this story, and is that don't watch the Devil's Hub for 24 hours. Or don't even watch it in general. Once again, it is not healthy. It is not a good thing to watch. And also, it is a really, really bad idea. It can lead to your brain not doing the right things. And also, it makes you very unhealthy as a man. Or even as a woman, I think. But if you guys aren't addicted to the Devil's Hub, fall for more embarrassing stories just like this one. Peace out, guys. Right as my teacher ends up leaving her desk, I ended up walking up to her desk afterwards to basically hand in my assignments. And right as I look at her computer to see what my grade was, I noticed that she had a tab open of the Devil's Hub. And I was in shock of why she had that open. Why was she searching this in the middle of a school day? Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name is Bubba, and welcome back to another really insane, but I gotta say, out-of-pocket story. So today's story all takes place back when I was in grade 9, and this was my first year of high school. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I wasn't the brightest kid, but at the same time, I was just getting into that zone of basically understanding women and becoming the master of the Devil's Tango. Like, no joke, the amount of research I put in to become the Rizzler was a lot, to the point where I actually ended up studying how to pull women more than actually focus on my own schoolwork. And over time, I started realizing that my grades weren't doing the best. And I remember there was this one specific day where in the middle of English class, I realized that my teacher ended up walking up to me and she said to me, hey, Bubba, I need
talk to you after class, okay?
What about?
Oh, well, you'll see after class. Just make sure you're here, okay?
Yeah, I'll be here. I remember she ends up walking away, and I started to stress out because I really had no idea what she was going on about. But I remember after class, the bell ended up ringing and all the students ended up leaving. And I just ended up sitting in my chair still because I was requested to stay in. I remember as I was sitting there, the teacher ends up walking into the classroom and she says, okay, Bubba, can you come to my desk real quick? Yeah, sure. Okay, what's up? I remember I went up to her desk and basically she ended up showing me something on her school computer. And she ended up showing me how I was missing a lot of assignments. Like, no joke, I think I was missing more than 12 assignments and I started to worry. It got to the point where I asked her, okay, I know I'm missing a lot. What can I do?
Well, do you have all these to hand in?
No, not right now.
Okay, well, I'm gonna need you to make sure you get these done, okay? We can go through it together, but that just means you have to stay here every day after school and get it done.
Yeah, okay. I can do that. I can make that happen. I remember I was really happy that you gave me an alternative to actually, make sure I can catch up at least. Because a lot of teachers would just straight up just be like, you know what? You failed, GG's. But luckily for me, this teacher was somewhat nice. And I remember after that whole conversation, I ended up walking down the school hallway to get to my next class. And out of nowhere, one of my buddies ends up walking up to me saying, yo, Bubba, after school today, me and the guys are gonna go hang out with a group of girls. Do you want to come down?
I would, but I gotta be honest, man. I gotta go to English after because I have to catch up on some work.
Oh, okay. Well, just do it quick, alright? And then afterwards, come after.
I'll try to, yeah.
I remember he ended up walking away and me deep down, I was so upset because there was no way I was gonna spend my after schools for like the next week just being with my English teacher. Like, it's gotta be the worst thing that ever happened to me. Anyways, after school came around and I ended up walking into my English teacher's classroom, and when I went in there, I ended up sitting down waiting for her to walk in. She didn't walk in for like a good 20 minutes, so I was just on my phone chilling, and then she finally walked in saying, oh, Bubba, you're here. Sorry I'm late. Had something going on. Oh, all good. I understand. And basically, she ended up running through all the assignments for me, and we only had like 30 minutes every day after school, which wasn't bad, but I'm not gonna lie, that 30 minutes felt like forever. Like, you know that feeling when you're sitting in the classroom and like basically what feels like what should be an hour feels like 4 to 5 hours? That's basically how I felt. Anyways, going on from there, we ended up getting some assignments done, and I still had a bunch to do, but luckily I got some assignments in, and she ended up giving me a lot of assignments to do back when I got home. And if I had any questions, just email her. So I ended up basically that day going home instead of hanging out with my friends, and I ended up doing the schoolwork because if my parents found out that I was behind on English, well, they would be very upset because my first language is English since I'm born in Canada. I remember for like the next like couple days, it was the same thing over and over. I would basically go to her, she'd give me assignments, and bippity boppity boo, I would just do the schoolwork that I was supposed to do. But this is where things get really, really weird because I remember one day, I think this was like the 5th day of me going in there. I walked in there and I saw right as I walked in, she ended up basically like closing a tab on her computer as fast as she could. I had really no idea why she was acting so weird. And I looked at her and said, oh, sorry, did I walk in at a bad time?
Oh, no, you're fine. I was just, grading some stuff.
Oh, speaking of grades, I was just checking. Can I see what mine's at right now?
Yeah, you can after. Don't worry. I'll show you after we're done.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good. And me and her, we ended up doing more assignments together. But then right after, out of nowhere, the principal ends up walking in to my classroom as she was in the middle of like helping me with like assignments. And he says to the teacher, ma'am, can I see you outside real quick?
Oh, yeah. Bubba, finish your assignments. I'm gonna go talk to the principal real quick.
I remember she ends up walking out of the classroom, and I'm just kind of sitting there like, bored doing my schoolwork that I was supposed to do. And once I finished the worksheet, I decided that, you know what, maybe she's not coming back because at this point it's been like over like 20 minutes. So I ended up basically handing my worksheets that I had finished at home and also at school, and decided to just put it on her desk and leave it there for her to grade. But also one thing that was still curious in my mind was what was my grade at. So I ended up basically putting these worksheets down, and I decided to take a quick glimpse over at, what my grade was. And as I'm scrolling through the list of people in my class and their grades, I realized that a lot of people were actually not passing my class, surprisingly. But not only that, I ended up looking at the top left corner of my screen where the tabs are on a computer for like different windows. And I noticed that she had a tab open that was, well, something that most teachers shouldn't have open. And that was the tab that rhymes with corn, pub. I think you guys kind of understand what I'm saying, but in this channel, we call it the Devils Hub. She had that opened, and I remember I decided to click on it, and I realized she was watching dude on dude videos. I'm not gonna say anything more than that because obviously I don't want to get demonetized on this channel, but I'm gonna be for real here, I was in major shock. When I saw this, I was super confused on why she was watching this, and then right at that second, I ended up seeing the teacher walk into the classroom and says, Bubba, what are you doing on my computer? At that moment, I ended up closing the tab. Like, I fully pressed X on it, and she had the tab saved, but I guess I just fully closed it out. And she walked up to the computer and she sat down at her desk and said, are you trying to like look at your
grades? Oh, yeah, I didn't know where to look. Oh, okay, well, here, let me quickly show you. She ended up basically like going through like the grade sheet, trying to be like really not awkward, but you can definitely tell she was hiding something. And the teacher ended up looking at me and said, Baba, did you touch anything on the computer? No, I didn't, to be honest. I was just moving the mouse. You were just moving the mouse? Yeah, just like around the screen. I guess, I don't know. I do it all the time with my own computer back at home. Okay, well, try not to touch my computer, okay? Yeah, I understand. Sorry. And at that moment, I ended up getting my backpack and walking out of the classroom. At that moment, I really did not know what to do or what to say. I felt really weirded out, and honestly, I didn't really know if I could ever see my teacher the same way. But things went from really weird to a lot worse, because I remember that same day, as I got home from school to do more assignments, I ended up getting an email from my teacher. She ended up using a different email than the school email, and I have no idea how I got it, but basically I ended up opening it, and it actually like said her full-on first and last name. Like, I was really in shock. And when I read the email, it went something like this, where she said, "Hey Bubba, I'm emailing you today to basically apologize for what you saw on my computer. Honestly, it was not meant to be seen by anyone. It was just something very inappropriate, and I apologize. Honestly, if you promise not to tell anyone about this, I'll make sure you pass my class, and on top of that, you won't have to do any of the assignments anymore." At that moment, I really felt weird because I didn't know what to think, but I'm like, you know what? If she's just gonna, let me pass, then hey, that's just a free grade. Like, I don't have to do any work. So I ended up emailing her back saying, yeah, like, no problem. It's all good. Just, don't let it happen again. I got scarred for life. I basically made it more severe than it actually was, but I'm gonna be honest, it was fine because I didn't want any more awkward tension between me and my teacher after that whole weird thing happened. But the next day when I walked into English class, I remember it was so funny because when I walked in, right away, the teacher starts staring at me as if like I knew her dirty little secret. And I basically ended up sitting down in that classroom, totally silent. And that day when she was actually handing out worksheets for us to do, she didn't even hand me one. My friend ended up looking at me saying, "Yo, Bubba, why aren't you doing the worksheet with us?" "Oh, I already did it earlier." "Seriously? You got the homework early? That doesn't seem like you." "Hey man, what can I say? I'm turning a new leaf," is what I told him. And well, yeah, I ended up passing English while just keeping her secret. Honestly, if you guys would do the same deal, then just fall for more embarrassing stories just like this one. Peace out, guys.